We're right here at Black Facts Central, coming at you live and direct, just like you'd expect. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing real fine. We're just over here dealing with the usual, trying to keep everything together, trying to keep it together, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. And let's see if this computer will let me shut it down or not. It seems to be somewhat recalcitrant today. Look at this. Just wants to do whatever it wants to do. Now, if we do it now, we'll see what happens. All right, meanwhile, let's move on and groove on. You know what time it is? It's noon. This is Doc Ock here, coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central. Please do the needful. Don't make me sit over here and get pleadful. Go ahead, give us a like. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up if you like what you hear. And if you like both, what you hear and what you see, subscribe to our YouTube channel below, the Tubular Black Facts channel. Now let's see what we've got today for a, now I'm just going to have to hard boot it. Let's see what we have today for a proverb. See what we got today. What do we have today? Here's a good proverb right here. Sounds quite apropos. Do not mend your neighbor's fence before looking to your own. So, fix your fence first before you go trying to fix somebody else's fence. That sounds like some good advice. And that is a proverb from Tanganyika, which is now merged with Zanzibar to become Tanzania. So we got Tanzania instead of Tanganyika. But that's what it used to be, the old name for one part, the mainland portion of Tanzania. Come on now. Jeez. This thing is just giving me issues today. I'd take the battery out if I could, but can't take the battery out of these bloody things anymore either. All right. Now, I'm going to read a little bit more from our anthology of Swahili love poetry. Yes, a little Swahili love poetry. And I'm going to read I haven't picked one out yet. Okay, here goes a short one. And I'll tell you the story about this one before I read it. Let's see, this thing is still doesn't want to shut down. Okay, come on now. A certain young man in the city of Zanzibar had fallen in love with a girl in the Sultan's court. It is stated that she was not the Sultan's daughter, although she was probably related to him and therefore of noble birth. In any case, when this forbidden relationship was discovered, the girl was prohibited from going out altogether. See, she can't go nowhere. And had to stay in the women's quarters on the top floor of the palace. That'll make it hard for the man to get up there. The young man had no other vehicle for his passion other than poetry. The poet may use images to express things that only his beloved may understand. To smuggle billet doux into the palace would have entailed the danger of discovery, and the girl would have been punished for it. The lover therefore engages a trusted messenger, not a real pigeon. This girl, confidant, has access to the women's quarters. A poem is easier to memorize than a prose message, and so the amorous young gentleman addresses the girl messenger in verse. Oh, okay, well, let's see. Njiwa peleka salamu kwa yule wangu muhibu umweleze afahamu kwamba napata taabu taabani mahamumu maharari yamen iswibu usiku kucha na kesha na yeye ndiye sababu iwapo haji maisha itanifika aibu pindo langu halijesha ndilo lilo ni adibu njiwa usia jizike nende ulete majibu nende upesi ufike mkimbilie sahibu mbele yake utamke ni yeye wa kunitibu ukifika tafadhali sema naye taratibu ukisema kwa ukali mambo utayaharibu kawambie sina hali kufariki si ajabu. Now I can tell you what right now, if it was depending on me to deliver the message, I can't say that it would have come across that well. I hope he could understand my quote-unquote broken Kiswahili. And in English, that poem translates to, little pigeon, carry my greetings. Little pigeon, carry my greetings to that beloved of mine. Explain to her that she may understand that I feel troubled, worried, and anxious. Sickness has fallen upon me. All night till dawn I lay awake, and she is the cause of it. If she never comes, disgrace will come to me. My love has not yet ended. That is what tortures me. Pigeon, do not get tired. Go and bring back the answer. Go and arrive quickly and tell her to run to her friend. When you are in her presence, speak up. She is the one who can cure me. When you arrive, please talk to her prudently. If you speak harshly, you will only spoil matters. Tell her I have no more strength. It would not be surprising if I died. Ooh, wow. He's seriously in love over there, ain't he? He's in love to the maximum. Yes, yes. Okay. Well, and love does as love is. Sometimes love is lovely and sometimes it's just not. But it seems right now that his love is quite hot. So I hope when his lover gets that message that it really hits the spot. Now see, my English poetry is a lot better than my Kiswahili poetry. Yeah, I can rhyme in time, but I'm working on the Kiswahili. Okay, it's a challenge. I'm not gonna let it conquer me. I'm gonna keep working on it. And in the meanwhile, we return to Revolt in Ethiopia, an Ethiopian story by George S. Schuyler. And we find Dick Welland and Princess Zunda, along with his valet Bill, still held up in customs in Egypt. But now the vice consul has come, and now the big reveal. Yes, it's time for the big reveal that Dick Welland is black. And that's a fact. Okay. So let's see what happens. See if he gets served or if he gets service. Maybe a lesson in here for all of us international travels. The tall young American white man who introduced himself as Derek Sullivan, the vice consul of the U.S. at Alexandria, got right down to business as soon as Dick came into the big office. Now, Mr. Welland, tell me just what you think we can do for you. This is a serious charge, you understand, bringing narcotics into the country. This official, pointing to the Egyptian with the spike-like mustache, has no authority to dismiss your case. You will certainly have to at least wait until morning when the chief inspector arrives. That meant a delay of at least 9 hours. It was depressing, but there seemed nothing else to do except wait. What do you think my chances are? Asked Dick. This is a frame-up of the rawest kind, but I realize that it looks bad. Yes, frankly it does, Consul Sullivan agreed, but there are mitigating circumstances. After all, the value of the heroin is very little compared to the sums I have spent and am spending for planes alone, Dick countered. That should weigh heavily in my favor. Yes, it should, and I shall be very glad to call it to the chief inspector's attention, said Sullivan. Meantime, I would suggest that you wire for references from your home and your bank. They will come in handy in the morning. The chief inspector is a rather hard man to deal with. After going over matters connected with the case, Vice Consul Sullivan took his departure and Dick went back to the Princess. Promptly at 9:30 the next morning, Dick was escorted into the presence of Chief Inspector of Customs Tunbridge, an Englishman who had a rather harsh look, if I might say so. No time was lost in getting down to business. After the Egyptian official had made his report, the bluff, red-faced Englishman turned to Dick for his explanation. Dick told him exactly what had happened. Mr. Sullivan was there to speak a good word in Dick's behalf. The inspector listened attentively, puffing a cigarette the while and not appearing to be greatly impressed. It was only when he was shown the answers to Dick's cables and radiograms that he seemed to relent. I believe your story, Mr. Welland, he said. It sounds straight to me. Certainly after the murder of the lady's servant and the rifling of your cabins, you had a right to be alarmed. Captain Dumont's confirmation of what happened and your references tipped the scales in your favor. At the suggestion of Mr. Sullivan, I'm going to let you off with a small fine. Yeah. But what I want to know now, Mr. Welland, is where you are going on the plane you have chartered. Dick sensed danger. He glanced quickly at the American Vice Consul, who almost imperceptibly shook his head and frowned. Dick decided that he must conceal his mission. The Princess Etatizunda wishes to return secretly to her Showa estates without interference from the Italians. So I am flying her as far as Beni Shingui, from whence she will travel overland to her destination. Do you plan to enter Ethiopia with her, Mr. Welland? Asked the inspector suavely. Dick glanced quickly at the American Vice Consul and again noted his frown. Well, I hardly think I would care to enter Ethiopia in the present state of affairs, he evaded, gazing innocently into the inspector's eyes. All right, then, we'll confiscate the heroin. The fine will be 100 pounds, the inspector decreed, but be very careful in the future. It was a matter of only a few minutes before Dick had arranged payment. He, the Princess, and Bill piled into the Vice Consul's automobile and were driven to the airport where the plane he had chartered still awaited them. On the way, Mr. Sullivan explained why he had frowned during Dick's examination. It's a good thing you didn't tell him you were going into Ethiopia with the princess. He would have sought to prevent you. That's why I signaled to you. Happily, you understood. Officially, I did not know myself that you were going into Ethiopia, or else I would have to advise you against it. The American government does not encourage citizens to visit that country, nor does the Italian government. I wonder why. We have no representative there. If you get in difficulties with the Italians, you'll be in hot water sure enough. The Vice Consul grinned good-naturedly. Then he added, keep your eyes open and make a full report to the nearest American consular or diplomatic officer as soon as you come out. And remember, you have no authority from us to enter Ethiopia. It's a good thing you already have an Egyptian visa, or you might have trouble getting away from here. Dick had already arranged with the bank to deliver 1,000 pounds of English money at the airport. At the same time, he arranged for the payment of his stiff fine. He had money, equipment, maps, and everything he had ordered all neatly packed away in the bag in the big transport plane. They bade Mr. Sullivan adieu, climbed aboard, and gave the British pilot and his assistant the signal to go. It was 10:30 a.m. The big ship ran for a half mile before taking the air. It leveled off at about 1,000 feet and headed straight south for their destination, 1,500 miles away. They were due, barring accident, to arrive at Beni Shingui before dark. Bill Sifton sat up front, Dick and the princess further back. They watched the scenery flash by, the lazy, serpentine Nile, bordered by wide greenery, interspersed with white villages and towns, while on each side stretched the baking desert. Dick was in high spirits. They had outwitted the Italians once again. Once they landed in Ethiopia and started on their way, there'd be little chance of anybody catching up with them. Neither Dick or the princess spoke for a long time after the plane started, each being lost in thought. They passed over Cairo at a 200-mile clip. At 11:15, as they lunched, they saw the great dam at Aswan, and Dick knew they had covered 500 miles. Khartoum flashed into view at 4:30. 2 more hours, and they would be at their destination. The big plane came down at the airport there to refuel. They got out and stretched their legs while the petrol was poured into the tanks. Then at 5 o'clock sharp, the plane took off again. They would just about make Beni Shingui before dark. Well, said Dick, we've outsmarted them, Atata. They've just about reached Alexandria now. Next thing they know, we'll have the gold and be out of the country. I hope so, she replied. But we are dealing with very resourceful people, Dick. You must remember, there is such a thing as radio.
It's 12:30.
Right. Best to keep that in mind. The Italians probably know exactly where we are going and when we are scheduled to reach there. Have you forgotten that they knew all about our plans to leave the ship and almost prevented us from leaving Alexandria? That's right, but I still think we've outsmarted them. The princess just smiled and patted his hand. There, boy. At about 5:20, Bill shouted, "Look there," and pointed to the east, flying much higher than their ship. Becoming straight toward them were 3 military pursuit planes. Dick focused his binoculars on them. At first, he couldn't believe what he saw. Then a second glance convinced him. He handed the glasses to the princess. After one look, she announced fantastically, "Italians! But they can't fly over British territory," he complained. "But they are flying over British territory," she pointed out, "and they're looking for us." It seemed that way. The much faster pursuit planes quickly overtook them. They circled around the big transport plane at almost twice its speed, then loafed on its tail. Dick watched them with apprehension. If the Italians landed at the same time as their plane, they would be unable to escape. Were they to be captured in the end? About 6:50, the big plane dipped her nose and made for a collection of huts alongside a large cleared space. The Italians also descended. It was dusk. They made a landing on the rough field, but before the propeller had stopped turning, the 3 Italian planes had landed on each side and in the rear. They were now on soil the Italians claimed. Dick handed a high-powered rifle to the princess and another to Bill. The crews of the Italian planes were already running toward them. Oh, oh, oh. I hope this is the work of Dona Gabriele. Maybe Bill had made a friend while he was on the ship. Who knows? Only the shadow do. And you will know on the morrow when you return to hear the next chapter, which will be chapter 11. That was the end of chapter 10. But we will be back tonight, of course, as always, with our stories for young folks. Make sure on your way out to go ahead and give us a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And in the meanwhile, may peace guide your way, and may you have a great day. Peace out without a doubt. This is Doc Ock signing off. And we see you over there, Esther. How you been? Peace out.